Hey, it's that time on Thursdays when we like to check in with our good pal, the big fella, Alphonse, Shankk Taylor, former Alabama offensive lineman, two-time national champion, a little Shankk Uncut as we come off the bye week. Judging by social media last night, Shankk, looked like you and your beautiful daughter had a good time out there trick-or-treating. How'd it go out there for you?
Oh man, we had a great time. She was a little shell shocked at first because this is our first time going trick or treating, but she loosened up and she got brave, man. She started going up the doors, and for a moment there, I thought I was going to shed a tear. I was so proud, you know. But it turned out great, man.
Once they figure out that candy is on the other end of that deal, they tend to loosen up pretty good. I'm guessing that was the case with Ava last night.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, she's kind of scared of all the Halloween stuff. Her fight or flight response is most definitely flight, and I'm okay with that. That's what I'm here for,
That's
you
right.
know. So it was a good time though. She really enjoyed herself.
Good deal. How about the bye week, Shankk? Take us through that a little bit. What goes on in a bye week at Alabama? I guess the perception is it kind of shuts down, but that's not really the case, is it?
Oh no, that's not the case at all. If anything, we crank it up during the bye week. We go camp style practices, man, and we hit it hard, and we work on everything that we don't typically get a chance to work on during the week because it's so much stuff that you want to work on throughout practice, and you don't have time. And bye weeks give you a chance to go back and refresh some of those things and go touch on some of those drills you're not usually able to touch on. And bye weeks full go, man. There's no holding back about it.
So really, in addition to what you would typically do during a practice week, maybe more of a refresher on technique, fundamentals, and I'm guessing it's a big week too, right, for the younger players or maybe guys that are down the depth chart because the coaching staff has a sort of chance to circle back and catch up with those guys in terms of their development.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It gives bye weeks a chance for everybody to step up. All those guys that feel like they've been overlooked, bye weeks a chance to put yourself back on the radar and get in that rotation, man. It's not bye week's not the time to take plays on for anything like that.
So if I'm a young player right now, maybe I'm running third team, maybe I'm a scout team guy right now. I'm a freshman or a second year guy. I can't sort of have the mindset of, well, I'm not going to be a factor this year. I'm not in the rotation. I'm not next guy up at least. You got to have the mindset, I would think, that I got to set myself up for spring, right, of next year and try to put myself in a position where I'm considered a legitimate candidate to compete in 2019, even if that's not the case in 2018.
Honestly, if I was one of those guys, I wouldn't even look that far ahead. I would look to right now. You need to set yourself up for right now. You need to show why, if we have a sudden injury, why the coach should be able to depend on you to throw you in the game in such clutch situations. Because such as last year, we had a lot of injuries. We had to throw a lot of guys to action. So don't think far down the road. You need to think right now, like, what can I do to make myself better right now in case my number is called and my time is right now to go in.
And I guess a prime example of that, Shankk, when looking at this team of competition carrying through the season each and every day on the practice field, is that left guard position. We saw Deonte Brown, the redshirt sophomore, get the start against Tennessee ahead of Lester Cotton. What did you see from Deonte in that performance against the Vols? What did you like? Were there some things that you thought maybe he might need to clean up and just the move in general?
Oh man, he plays. I love Deontay, man. We call him Cornbread. That's his nickname. Um, and obviously, so he's cornbread fed. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, and that's what I love about him. He plays behind his pass. He plays very powerful. Um, and in the run game, he flourishes. And he reminds me a lot of myself. But what I do want to see him work on is in pass pro, staying off his toes, stop lunging, use his hands a bit more, and learn how to play under control with that power in the pass game. And once he figures that out, oh man, it'll be a clear road for him because he has everything he needs to succeed, man.
And you talked about power, Shankk, and I don't think at any point on the schedule is it needed more than it is for LSU week, right? I mean, it seems like LSU, sort of like Alabama and Auburn and a few other programs, has this sort of assembly line of defensive linemen that first and foremost are especially tough to get movement on in the run game. So given your experience in this series and sort of what you've seen from LSU and Alabama so far this season, is it more of the same this week from that standpoint?
Well, without a doubt, LSU has a great defense. That defense is legit. They have a very nice defensive line, but at the same time, I have all the faith in the world in our offensive line. And this type of game offensive lines can get up for. It's going to be a big trench warfare game. It's going to be a lot of physicality up front, and whoever wins the physicality up front on the line of scrimmage. And that's who will essentially dominate this game. And I think our guys are ready, man. I think they understand what's going to be asked of them and what's going to be demanded of them for this game because LSU has a very good defensive front, and they have a lot of good LBs and DBs on the back end, so they know they're going to have to do that job up front in order for us to succeed.
Not that there's this sort of loose or goofy sense around a practice at Alabama under Nick Saban any week, but being out there the last couple of days, just for a few minutes every day, but I thought especially yesterday, there was this real business-like sense around this team on Wednesday. Is that kind of the way it went down with you when you got to weeks like this with LSU? Maybe the focus, and the attention to detail ramps up to an even higher level than it usually is under Nick Saban?
Oh, without a doubt, man. You don't need anyone to motivate you for a game like this. You know what's at stake. You know what you have to do. You know what you have to get done in order to come out on top in a game like this. So, man, you go into practice every day, focused, ready to go.
We've heard a lot this week, Shankk, about Tua going into this environment and hasn't really experienced anything like this. Speak to that from your experience. I mean, just how crazy, how loud as an opposing player is this place compared to, say, Jordan-Hare Stadium, Neyland Stadium, the places that you've been as a player at Alabama? What makes it different? What makes it special? Is it louder? Just kind of give us a sort of checklist there for Tiger Stadium.
Man, just the atmosphere in Tiger Stadium as a whole, just how rowdy it gets, how involved those fans are. It doesn't matter if they're down. It doesn't matter if the fans are consistently loud and rowdy. And, it can, if you're not prepared for that, man, it can get the best of you because it is just unlike anything anywhere else, especially at night. And it's just something like you have to go there at least once to be a part of that to completely understand.
And it's interesting to hear that because when you look at tough places to win for Alabama under Nick Saban, I mean, the stronger argument could be made for Auburn, could be made for Jordan-Hare. But do you still think, even with the losses we've seen, 3 losses for Nick down there and 7 and 13, and then most recently a year ago, is it tougher, in your opinion, to get a win at Death Valley, or is it tougher at Auburn?
I really want to say Auburn Stadium is just tough to play in this Death Valley because the fans come hard at LSU, but it's just Auburn's players' confidence when they're at home is on a different level. They're playing out of their body. They're playing totally different from anything they've ever played. So that's the biggest thing you have to deal with when going to Auburn. You deal with the players' confidence boost and just being at home. That's their home field advantage. But LSU, that crowd and how ruckus they are, man, and just how wild the stadium gets, man. It gets crazy.
And especially when they have all day to get fueled up, like the like the Tiger faithful. Like the Tiger faithful is going to have on Saturday. Now, we've heard stories of opposing teams coming into the stadium, the bus ride, all those things, getting off the bus, going into the stadium. Is there anything from your visits to Tiger Stadium maybe that stood out to you? Because I've heard of, stuff being thrown at buses, elderly women giving the bus the finger, stuff like that. Did you experience any of that?
Oh, I've seen it all down there, man. Those occasions get crazy. It gets crazy down Louisiana. They're serious about that ball team, and when they lose, they're especially not too happy. So I've seen some beers thrown, some fingers being flipped, and no one's exempt. I think the old people are worse than the young people.
So would you say, as far as on approach into a stadium, LSU is the craziest that you experienced, or maybe there was another place that you guys went into that maybe caught you by surprise at sort of the level of dislike that you experienced from an opposing fan base?
Nah, LSU, they're
standalone. Yeah, they're standalone.
LSU stands alone.
And I got to think, as a player, you love that, right? I mean, that gets you going even more.
I love it. I feed off it. It makes the victory even more sweeter. It's just like you can hate us all you want, but until you beat us, it really doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. Sort of your expectation for the game Saturday night as we let you go here, talking with Alphonse Shankk Taylor at Shankk Uncut on a Thursday edition of Southern Fried Sports, presented by Carty and Lloyd Attorneys at Law and Mercedes-Benz of Tuscaloosa. There's been a lot of talk, Shankk, in terms of how this game will flow. I think everyone knows LSU wants to ugly it up probably as much as possible, where Alabama, as we all know, has been a sprinter, has been Usain Bolt-like out of the blocks to start games. Where do you see this game sort of playing out from that standpoint?
I still think we'll come out fast. I expect LSU to give us a tough game, though, but I think we'll come out fast. I think we'll eventually establish the run game. That'll carry us on throughout the game, and Tua's going to do what Tua does. As long as the O-line gives them time and protects, and the receivers do what they do, I think nothing's going to change with our offense, and I think we're going to be fine. I still think we win by at least 3 touchdowns.
Couple of touchdowns, you think?
Yeah, I think so, without a doubt.
There you go. Well, Alphonse Shankk Taylor, we always appreciate you joining us here on Southern Fried Sports on Thursday. Always a lot of fun, always a lot of great insight. Hey, enjoy that weekend. What are you going to have on the grill? What do you got cooked up for LSU? I mean, LSU Saturday, you got to have something legit, right? You can't fake it on LSU Saturday.
Nah, I can't fake it at all, man. I think I'm gonna head on over to Meat Boss and get a whole brisket, man. Get a smoked brisket. And we're going to top some of that up.
I got to get you to show me the brisket game. That's one I haven't conquered yet on that Big Green Egg. So I'm going to have to get with you on that if you don't mind. We'll have to do that.
Sounds good.
All right, Shankk. Have a great weekend, my man. We'll do it again next week.
Yes, sir. You too, Travis. Roll Tide.